What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So you guys requested it. You wanted to see my trades for today on GU and EU, how I made 232 pips and how I managed to close out a losing trade. Now, what I'm going to talk about is the losing trade first, because that's the most boring part, and then we'll move on to the winning trades, which was the most fun part. Now, as you probably all know, if you've been following me for a while, I only trade with the direction of the market. Well, that's actually a lie. I do trade exhaustion trades as well, but the majority of the time I trade with the direction of the market, and that's what I promote, and that's what I would suggest that all of you do if you're new to trading, or even if you're an experienced trader. This is where you're going to get your best results. So as you can clearly see from this chart here, I'm looking at the market as a downtrend. Now, what I started to identify on EU this morning was a lot of wick rejections in and around this level. Now, in any phase in any market, you're going to have a push phase and an exhaustion phase. So when I start to identify that price is reacting in and around this level, then what I'm expecting this level to do is hold as a lower high. If I identify that as a lower high, then what I'm looking to do is take sells on this market. And you probably would have seen my analysis from yesterday on EURUSD, where I took a trade, it pumped in my direction, and then unfortunately I was taken out on my second position at break even. So again, the same scenario. Let's take a look at this. So I scaled down to my entry time frame. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but on this occasion I went down to the 5-minute time frame. I was already in GU sells from yesterday, so I just wanted to take an intraday trade while I held that position open. So as you can clearly see, I'm looking at this market structure. I'll put the replay on so that we can see this clearly. And this is how I saw the market just before I entered. I can clearly see that the market was reacting to in and around the area here. Price was failing to break above it. We have a nice trend to the upside, intraday trend, and then we had a nice break of that structure, and then I started to identify price not breaking above the highs, starting to form wick rejections, which in my mind I'm looking at the market now as a potential downtrend forming, so lower highs, lower lows, etc, etc. So I set the trade again, stop loss way up in space. I want it out of the way. If this is going to be the lower high, then I don't want to be tagged out. And when I entered this trade, you can see what happened. I literally just entered the trade. The minute price started to push down, and as you can see, there was zero drawdown. So we was in a very good position. Then the market continued to push down in my direction, and at this stage, I was stoked. It was amazing. I was just ready for action. I was ready to put my trade at break even. I was ready to take some profits off the table. But guess what happened? I decided to go and make my morning tea. So I walked away thinking nothing big will happen in the next 5 minutes. Surely I can quickly get away, come back and be able to handle this. So anyway, I was away making my cup of tea, and then this is what happened. Boom. The market pushed in my direction, almost to hit and take profit, really close. And by this stage, if you've been following me, you will see from my videos, I would have been locking this in at break even, and I've been looking to take about 50% off in and around this area here. And if you don't understand stop loss strategies, I did post a video on that, and I used a fixed stop loss strategy for my intraday trading, which means that I lock this in at break even. I put this into break even profits at a certain percentage move in the market, and then obviously I take off some profits at around 80% of the whole move. If you haven't seen it, the video will be linked down below. You can take a look. So anyway, I had missed this move. I wasn't able to go break even, and I certainly was not able to take any profits off the table, which I was kind of fuming about when I came back, because then look what happened. Hey, I got stopped out of this trade, and as you probably can see with the results that I'm just about to pop up now, I took a 2-pip loss, and as you can see, my stop loss was 2 pips. So unfortunately, I was stopped out of this trade. Now, regardless of the pip size, guys, this is an intraday trade. I'm looking to get in and out of the market, so my risk percent on this is going to be 2% for a 6% gain. So please don't focus on pips. I always say pips lies, percentage doesn't. So forget about the pip size. I was stopped out. Anyway, that's some transparency there. That was my losing trade. Now let's move on to something fun. Oh, before we move on, take a look at this. The minute I got stopped out, look what the market did. Tanked. Absolutely tanked. But it happens. Anyway, on to the next trade. Now, GU. Now, you guys, I don't know if you've seen my EU trade that I showed yesterday. I was talking about when it comes to summertime, I look to trade the higher time frames, especially like the 4H, 1H time frames, so that I can not spend so much time at my charts and I can use that time more wisely to do other things, like spend time with my family, studying, socializing, housework. I'm a family man, you know, housework and everything else. So anyway, long story short, I'm sure that's boring, but the point is, same analysis applies across all time frames for me. I'm looking at this market structure, trend to the upside. You can see a break of this trend line, strong bearish pressure to the downside, and we start to see price forming structural levels in the market where it's failing to break above. Once I identify that, what I'm expecting this market to do, I'm expecting it to go down. Once the market makes a lower high, I'm expecting a lower low. So when I see this, my plan of action is now to go down to my lower time frames. That's exactly what I did. Now I did enter on the 1 hour time frame, but I'm going to go to the 30-minute because it just looks much more prettier, right? So here we go. So once I identified this level in the market, as you can see here in red, I decided to take a trade on this. I wanted to make sure that my stop loss was as high as I could get it above these structure levels here. And you probably just saw my trade on EU. I had a 2 pip stop loss here. I had just shy of a 20 pip stop loss. So there is a big difference. The lower time frame you go, obviously, the smaller your stop loss, and the higher time frame you go, the bigger your stop loss is going to be, especially if you're using structure to place your stop loss above or below. So this was where I was at. I'm not sure if this was exactly where I entered the trade, to be honest with you. I cannot remember. And the times on MT4, which you will see, I'll pop it up now. These are the results. They kind of changed the times for when I close a trade as opposed to when I open the trade. But anyway, and I didn't start going into details as to when I open this position. But the point is, let's look at the process rather than anything else. So I identified this level. 4H time frame is broken, has broken the trend line. Lower highs forming, price is failing to break above a level for a very long period of time. Starting to see strong bearish pressure in the market with these wick rejections to the upside, and now I want to get in this trade. So I got in this trade, and as you can see, the market moved in my direction for a period of time. Now I did sit in some sideways moving market for a very long time. Understand, this is the 30-minute time frame. So I took this position yesterday. I think it was around 3 o'clock, if I remember clearly. I sent a message out to my 4H and 1H channel in Slack to my community. I'll show you here now, asking if anybody's looking at GU, and I think that was the time that I entered the trade. So anyway, I sat in this for a very long time. I think I went to sleep with the market moving sideways. But anyway, I woke up this morning and I could see the market was still moving sideways. I hadn't managed this trade into break even yet. I was just going to let it float for a little while to see what happened. And as you probably saw just a minute ago, I opened 2 positions. My usual risk is 2%, but with these kind of swing trades, I'm looking to split that percentage to 1%, 1%, and then I'm looking to close a position at about 1 to 3, and then the rest I'm just going to swing and trail my stop loss for as long as I can. So anyway, woke up this morning, still moving sideways. The market's not breaking below the structural level here, which is completely fine, I understand, but I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at the higher time frame, and in the back of my mind, all I'm saying to myself is we're starting to see the market stepping down. Now I don't know if you can see this. What you'll see here is the levels are stepping down. Price is not really making any new highs. It's more likely to continue pushing down than it is up. And I'm thinking in my head, there's a lot of buyers here, retail buyers, looking to buy this market back to the upside because they can see the support is holding, or they'll start looking at this as a range. And I'm just thinking, just trust your analysis. You're in the position now. You've accepted the risk. Just let it go. So that's my whole thought process as I'm in this trade. And then what happens? I start to identify on the hourly time frame that the market made a new lower high in and around this level here. Now, as I said, all time frames create trends, especially intraday trends. And I can see that the market was pushing to the downside, making these structural level lows. We have a nice lower high, strong wick rejection here. And I was identifying this area, saying to myself, well, if price doesn't break above this level, then surely we can have a retest off of my first position. I'm expecting the market to go down. If we get price coming back to this level, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to short the position again for another 2%. I just said to myself, you know, I'm in profit here now. Let's take another position and let's see what happens. If I'm still expecting my first position to go down, then why can I not expect my second position to go down? So the market decided to come back into this area here, and what I did is I waited for price to come back into my stop loss range. Once I started to see this wick rejection here, now I'm making it clear here because obviously you're not going to see it on the hourly. But once I started to see price rejecting this area and I started to see price moving back down towards the downside, I hit an instant execution, and as you probably will see here now on the screen, I took 2 more positions on GU, and I had a 14 pip stop loss. I never had a target set. Again, I was just going to trail this based on a structural based stop loss strategy, which you can see how we do use that in the video that I linked below. And look what happened, guys. The market tanked. Now, I knew that this was a very strong impulse move based on the high time frame analysis, which meant that the likelihood of price retracing this move even to like 50% was going to be pretty high. So I decided to call it a day on this candle close, or in this area in the market, and I took my profits. I managed to take off on this trade. Well, it was on the screen, wasn't it? I think 2 positions at 59 pips. I did close 1 position here to make sure that I can cover the trade here, I think around 29 pips, and then the full position I closed at, I believe it's on the screen, 85, 86, whatever, 89 pips I believe. And this was the story of GU. So just really keeping trading simple, looking at the higher time frame analysis. As you can see, trends were down, the market structure was bearish, and this is what I'm talking about. Remember yesterday when I took the trade on on EU up and around these areas here, we saw that the market moved in my direction, then went against me, then went back in the right direction, etc., etc., and it happens. But remember, I say risk before reward. Manage those risks. Make sure that you're not putting unnecessary profits or any of your money on the line. Wait for the market to give you those setups that you can take, and then when they move in your direction, capitalize. And as you can see, regardless of my loss on EU today, my break-even trade yesterday on EU, look what I was able to accomplish today. And that's just through being systematic, patient, and waiting for the market to talk to me. So I really hope that was useful for you, breaking that down as simple as I can. And as I always say, if you want me to keep doing these videos, please smash that like button, subscribe, and until next time, guys, take care.